Adora, whose real name was Eddie Castellanos Sr., passed away on January 1st, 2025, at the age of 55. What a tragic way to start the year, losing one of the most underrated lyricists to ever come out of the 5 boroughs. If you're not familiar with Adore, let me paint you a picture of just how significant this man was to the culture. Back in 1992, when hip-hop was still finding its voice and the East Coast was establishing its dominance, Adore dropped a track that would become legendary among true hip-hop heads. Let It All Hang Out wasn't just a song, it was a statement, a declaration of lyrical superiority that showcased everything that made New York rap special. The track was produced by Pete Rock, and if you know anything about hip-hop production, you know that Pete Rock doesn't work with just anybody. This was during Pete Rock's golden era, when he was crafting some of the most soulful, jazz-influenced beats that the genre had ever heard. The fact that he chose to work with Adore speaks volumes about the respect this man commanded in the underground scene. Adore's style was gritty, uncompromising, and authentically New York. He wasn't trying to appeal to the masses or water down his message for radio play. This was street poetry at its finest, delivered with a flow that was both technically proficient and emotionally resonant. His lyrics painted vivid pictures of life in New York City, touching on everything from street politics to personal struggles with an honesty that was sometimes uncomfortable but always real. What made Adore special wasn't just his technical ability, though he had that in spades. It was his commitment to the art form. In an era where many artists were already starting to chase commercial success, Adore remained dedicated to pure lyricism. He was the type of rapper that other rappers respected, the kind of artist who might not have had platinum plaques on his wall, but had something more valuable, the acknowledgement of his peers that he was one of the best to ever touch a microphone. The circumstances surrounding his death haven't been fully disclosed, which adds another layer of sadness to his passing. Here was a man who gave so much to the culture, who influenced countless artists who came after him, and we don't even have complete closure about how we lost him. Starting 2025 with this loss set a tragic tone that would unfortunately continue throughout the year. Lil Zelly. Just over 2 weeks into the new year, on January 17th, 2025, another young life was cut short when Lil Zelly, born Marcellus Hebron, was found dead in a car in Rockville, Maryland, at just 26 years old. This Maryland rapper had built a cult following with his prolific output and authentic street narratives, making his death a devastating blow to the DMV hip-hop scene. Lil Zelly represented the grinding underground spirit that has always been the backbone of hip-hop culture. He wasn't waiting for major label deals or mainstream recognition. He was consistently dropping music, building his fan base one track at a time, and establishing himself as a voice for his community. His 2017 mixtape More Zelly showcased his ability to craft compelling street narratives with a raw authenticity that resonated with listeners who appreciated unfiltered hip-hop. What made Lil Zelly special was his work ethic and consistency. In an era where many artists drop a project and then disappear for months or even years, Lil Zelly was constantly creating, constantly pushing out new material, constantly engaging with his fan base. This kind of dedication is what separates the artists who are truly passionate about their craft from those who are just chasing quick success. Lil Zelly's death by homicide highlights the ongoing epidemic of gun violence that continues to plague the hip-hop community. At 26, he was just reaching the age where many artists begin to hit their creative stride, where they start to develop the maturity and perspective that can lead to their best work. The fact that his life was cut short by violence represents not just a personal tragedy, but a cultural loss. We'll never know what kind of music he might have created if he had been given the chance to continue growing as an artist. The circumstances of his death, found dead in a car, paint a picture of a young man whose life ended in exactly the kind of violent scenario that he and many other rappers have described in their music. There's a tragic irony in the fact that artists who document violence in their lyrics often become victims of that same violence in real life. DJ Unk. January 24th brought another devastating blow when DJ Unk, born Anthony Platt, died from a heart attack at just 43 years old. Please respect me and my family. I just lost my husband, and my kids just lost their father. Our life will never be the same. I love you, Anthony, forever, if you were anywhere near a radio, club, or house party in 2006, you knew DJ Unk. This man gave us Walk It Out, one of the most infectious, undeniable bangers in hip-hop history. DJ Unk emerged from Atlanta's vibrant hip-hop scene during the mid-2000s, when the South was truly having its moment and taking over the airwaves. This was the era of snap music, crunk, and dance-oriented tracks that got people moving, and DJ Unk was right at the center of that cultural explosion. His music wasn't designed to showcase complex lyricism or deep philosophical concepts. It was designed to bring people together, to create moments of pure joy and celebration. Walk It Out wasn't just a song. It was a cultural phenomenon that perfectly captured the energy and spirit of Southern hip-hop at its peak. The track had that infectious, minimalist production that made you want to move, combined with DJ Unk's charismatic delivery and those simple but effective lyrics that everyone could remember and sing along to. The song spent weeks on the charts and became a staple at every party, club, and social gathering across the country. The success of Walk It Out led to remix versions featuring major artists, further cementing DJ Unk's place in hip-hop history. The song became so popular that it transcended the genre itself, getting played at sporting events, used in commercials, and becoming part of the broader American cultural landscape. That's the mark of a truly successful artist, when your music becomes bigger than just music and starts influencing culture itself. DJ Unk's death from a heart attack at such a young age serves as a stark reminder of the health challenges that disproportionately affect our community. Heart disease is a leading killer of Black Americans, and the stress of the music industry, combined with lifestyle factors, can exacerbate these issues. His passing underscores the importance of taking care of our health, especially for those in high-stress careers. Irv Gotti. February brought one of the most shocking losses in hip-hop history when Irv Gotti, born Irving Domingo Lorenzo Jr., passed away at the age of 54 due to complications from a stroke related to untreated diabetes. While many people knew Irv primarily as a producer and record executive, his death represents the loss of one of the most influential figures in 1990s and early 2000s hip-hop. Irv Gotti wasn't just a behind-the-scenes player, he was a kingmaker, a visionary who helped shape the sound and direction of hip-hop during one of its most crucial periods. As the co-founder of Murder Inc. Records, Irv was responsible for launching and nurturing the careers of some of the biggest names in the game, including Ja Rule, Ashanti, and Lloyd, artists who dominated the charts and defined the sound of an entire era. Murder Inc. wasn't just a record label, it was a movement. Irv had this incredible ability to identify talent and then create the perfect environment for that talent to flourish. He understood that success in hip-hop wasn't just about having great artists, it was about creating a brand, a lifestyle, an entire cultural experience that fans could buy into. Everything from the album artwork to the music videos to the marketing campaigns was carefully crafted to create a cohesive vision. Irv's production style was distinctive and influential. He had this gift for creating beats that were both hard-hitting and melodically sophisticated. Tracks that could work in the clubs, but also had the musical complexity to satisfy serious hip-hop heads. His work with Ja Rule produced some of the most memorable tracks of the early 2000s, songs that perfectly balanced street credibility with mainstream appeal. The legal troubles that eventually engulfed Murder Inc. added another layer to Irv Gotti's story. The federal investigation into the label's alleged connections to drug money was a major scandal that shook the hip-hop industry. While the charges were eventually dropped, the investigation severely damaged the label's reputation and effectively ended its run as one of hip-hop's most powerful forces. The fact that Irv died from complications related to untreated diabetes is particularly tragic and highlights healthcare issues in our community. Even successful people in the music industry sometimes don't prioritize proper health care, and his death serves as a reminder that fame and fortune don't protect you from health problems. G Dollar Lil Ronnie. March 3rd brought one of the most heartbreaking stories of the year when G Dollar Lil Ronnie, whose real name was Ronnie Sibley, was fatally shot at a car wash in Forest Hill, Texas at the age of 30. What made this tragedy even more devastating was that his daughter was also killed in the same shooting, turning what should have been an ordinary day into an unthinkable nightmare. G Dollar Lil Ronnie represented the new generation of Texas hip-hop, artists who were carrying on the proud tradition of Southern rap while bringing their own unique perspective and energy to the genre. What made G Dollar Lil Ronnie's music special was its authenticity. This wasn't an artist who was trying to create a persona or put on an act for the cameras. His lyrics reflected the real experiences of someone who had lived the life he was rapping about, someone who understood the struggles and challenges facing young people in urban communities across Texas and the broader South. The circumstances of his death highlight one of the most persistent and tragic problems in hip-hop culture, the ongoing epidemic of violence that continues to claim the lives of talented young artists. The fact that his daughter was also killed adds an extra layer of tragedy, reminding us that when violence strikes, it doesn't just affect the primary target, it ripples out and destroys entire families. The car wash shooting represents the kind of senseless violence that has unfortunately become all too common in our communities. These everyday locations have become sites of tragedy, creating a climate of fear that affects everyone. At 30 years old, G Dollar Lil Ronnie was still developing as an artist, and his death represents potential that will never be realized. Say So P. March 22nd brought devastating news from Memphis when Say So P, born Latorian Hunt, was killed in a targeted shooting at just 27 years old. As an up-and-coming rapper signed to the Sauce Factory, Say So P represented the next generation of Memphis hip-hop, carrying on the proud tradition of a city that has given the world artists from 3 6 Mafia to Yo Gotti. Memphis has always held a special place in hip-hop culture, with its own distinctive sound characterized by dark, atmospheric production and aggressive lyrics that reflect the realities of life in from one of America's most challenging urban environments. Say So P was part of that tradition, but he was also trying to push it forward and bring his own perspective to the Memphis sound. Being signed to the Sauce Factory was significant because it showed that industry professionals saw real potential in Say So P's music. The label has built a reputation for identifying and developing talented artists, and their decision to sign him suggested that he had the combination of talent, work ethic, and marketability that could lead to success. The fact that Say So P was killed in a targeted shooting makes his death particularly disturbing. This wasn't random. Violence. Someone specifically wanted him dead, which raises questions about conflicts or situations he might have been involved in. Targeted violence against hip-hop artists has become an increasingly concerning trend, creating a climate of fear that makes it difficult for artists to focus on their music and careers. At 27, Say So P was just entering what many consider to be the prime years for a hip-hop artist, with enough experience to craft sophisticated music, but still young enough to connect with younger audiences. His death represents not just the loss of individual talent, but a blow to Memphis hip-hop culture and the depletion of promising young voices in the scene. Young Scooter. Young Scooter, born Kenneth Edward Bailey, died at the age of 39 from a fatal leg injury sustained while fleeing from police. The irony wasn't lost on anyone familiar with his music. Here was an artist who had spent years rapping about street life and police encounters, only to have his life end in exactly the kind of situation he had been describing in his songs. Young Scooter was a key figure in Atlanta's trap music scene, a subgenre that has shaped hip-hop over the past 2 decades. His 2012 mixtape Street Lottery was more than a compilation of tracks. It was a bold manifesto capturing the mindset and realities that define trap culture. With vivid storytelling and streetwise perspective, the project embodied the risks and rewards of that world. Its title felt prophetic, framing life in the streets as a gamble where survival was never guaranteed. His collaboration with Future was particularly significant. Future, one of hip-hop's most successful artists, saw something special in Young Scooter and chose to work with him on multiple occasions. This partnership spoke to the quality and authenticity of Scooter's music and helped establish his credibility in the Atlanta scene. Young Scooter's style was characterized by his deep, gravelly voice and unflinching honesty about street life realities. His lyrics weren't glamorizing crime. They were documenting it, explaining the logic behind decisions that might not make sense to those who hadn't lived that life. This kind of street journalism has always been an important part of hip-hop. The circumstances of his death highlight ongoing tensions between law enforcement and the hip-hop community. The fact that he died while fleeing suggests he felt he was in real danger, and his death represents the tragic end of someone who was trying to transition from street life to legitimate success in music. Lotto Savage. Lotto Savage's death in 2025 represents another significant loss for the Atlanta hip-hop scene, though specific details about the circumstances and timing of his passing remain limited. What we do know is that he was reportedly shot and killed on the night of March 19, 2025. Reports suggest that Lotto Savage, born Otis Williams Jr., was ambushed outside a residential complex. Witnesses claim they heard multiple gunshots around 10:45 p.m. before seeing a suspect flee the scene in a dark-colored vehicle. Lotto Savage was part of the vibrant and competitive Atlanta rap ecosystem that has produced some of hip-hop's biggest stars over the past 2 decades. Atlanta's hip-hop scene is incredibly deep, with countless artists working at different levels of the industry, from mainstream superstars to underground legends to up-and-coming artists trying to make their mark. Lotto Savage occupied his own space within this ecosystem, building a following through his authentic approach to trap music and his connection to the streets that gave birth to the genre. The loss of any artist from Atlanta's scene represents more than just an individual tragedy. It's a blow to the entire culture that the city has built around hip-hop. Atlanta has become the unofficial capital of hip-hop, and that status depends on having a constant stream of new talent emerging from different neighborhoods and bringing different perspectives to the music. Lotto Savage's music captured the experiences of Atlanta's youth during the peak of the trap era, blending raw storytelling with the authenticity hip-hop fans value. His lyrics portrayed the realities of street life, offering an unfiltered glimpse into urban struggles. His death marks the loss of another voice committed to telling vital stories about life in America's inner cities, leaving a void in the narrative of modern rap culture. While we don't have complete details about the circumstances of his death, the fact that another young Atlanta rapper has been lost in 2025 continues the tragic pattern that has affected the city's hip-hop community for years. Too many talented artists have had their lives cut short just as they were beginning to establish themselves in the music industry. China Walker. China Walker's recent death from ovarian cancer represents a different kind of tragedy than many of the other losses we've discussed today. While details about her career and specific contributions to hip-hop remain limited, her death from cancer highlights the health challenges that affect people in our community, particularly women who may not have access to adequate health care or early detection services. Cancer doesn't discriminate based on age, success, or talent, and China Walker's battle with ovarian cancer reminds us that artists face the same health challenges as everyone else, often while dealing with the additional stresses that come with pursuing a career in the music industry. For emerging artists especially, access to quality healthcare can be limited, making it difficult to get the early detection and treatment that can be crucial for surviving diseases like cancer. The fact that China Walker was described as an emerging rapper suggests that she was still in the early stages of her career when she was diagnosed and ultimately lost her battle with cancer. This represents a particularly cruel kind of loss, someone whose potential was cut short not by violence or accident, but by a disease that might have been treatable if caught earlier or if she had had access to better healthcare. Ovarian cancer is often called a silent killer because it is rarely detected in its early stages when treatment is most effective. For young women, particularly those without consistent access to healthcare, its symptoms can be subtle and easily mistaken for less serious conditions like digestive issues or menstrual discomfort. The death of China Walker highlights the urgent need for greater awareness, regular health screenings, and equitable access to quality medical care for all, regardless of income or location, ensuring early detection and a better chance at survival for those at risk. Her death also highlights the particular challenges facing women in hip-hop, a genre that has historically been male-dominated. Female artists often face additional obstacles in establishing their careers and building their platforms, and when promising young women like China Walker are lost, it represents a blow to the diversity and representation within the genre. Hitman Howie T. August 2nd, 2025, marked the end of an era when Hitman Howie T passed away, representing the loss of a true pioneer in hip-hop production who had been there since the beginning. While he was primarily known as a producer, Howie T's contributions to hip-hop culture extended far beyond the beats he created, and his influence can be heard in the work of countless artists who came after him. Hitman Howie T was part of hip-hop's foundational generation, the producers and artists who established the sonic template that the entire genre would build upon. During hip-hop's formative years in the 1980s and early 1990s, producers like Howie T were experimenting with sampling, drum programming, and sound design in ways that would define the genre's aesthetic for decades to come. What made Howie T stand out was his deep understanding of hip-hop as both a musical form and a cultural movement. He didn't just produce beats, he built immersive soundscapes that embodied the energy, attitude, and rebellious spirit of the era. His work carried the raw, unpolished edge that defined early hip-hop, a time before the genre's rough authenticity was softened and reshaped to fit the demands of mainstream commercialization. The fact that Howie T lived to see hip-hop evolve from an underground movement in New York to a global cultural phenomenon speaks to his longevity and adaptability. He witnessed firsthand the transformation of hip-hop from party music played in community centers and parks to a multi-billion-dollar industry that influences fashion, politics, and social movements around the world. Howie T's death represents the gradual loss of hip-hop's founding generation, the people who were there at the beginning and helped establish the culture that billions of people around the world now participate in. As these pioneers pass away, it becomes increasingly important to document their contributions and ensure that their legacies are preserved for future generations. His influence can be heard in the work of producers who came after him, many of whom may not even realize they're building on foundations that Howie T helped establish. The techniques he pioneered, the sounds he created, and the approach he took to production became part of hip-hop's DNA, influencing countless artists who never met him but absorbed his innovations through the music they grew up listening to. And with that, we've come to the end of this deep dive. For more juicy content like this, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and check out the card showing on your screen for more videos. Don't forget to comment your thoughts below.